So you want a mod for Planet Zoo? In that case, welcome. I'm not going to be going through like all the specifics in this video, but I'm going to be your guide and help you find your little niche. First, let's begin at the start. It's important to know where the modding scene kind of sprouted from at first. So at first, Hendrix, Inaki, and Harlequin's Ego developed the Cobra Tools kit. This was originally for Jurassic World Evolution, but the same principle kind of transfers over to Planet Zoo. It essentially allows users to kind of dig deeper within the game's files and extract various files within those called OVLs in order to access the locked contents behind it. So using this process, players were starting to be able to make simple changes to the game. For instance, they could edit code in order to make sure that animals preferred different size habitats. We know how that polar bear fiasco went. Or, allow animals to have different levels of vegetation and foliage in their exhibits. And there were also players could experience higher rates of albinos, but more importantly, I think this is what the modding community is mostly known for at first, was the ability to put new animals in the game. Well, not really new. These animals would actually take precedent over existing animals in the game. The first different quote-unquote animal in the game was a quagga, designed by Pure Winter, who, really isn't part of the community anymore, but we really do hope she looks back on us and has a little smile, because we've come a little far. But before that, we had a few mods that, even changed the colors of the system existing items in the game, such as the habitat bedding to have much more of a subdued, more, tannish color, not really as orange as it is. Maybe even ice rocks that weren't so blindingly blue, or a brick replacement that was more of a gray than the harsh red that we have today. Now, as the modding scene gained more traction, people started to notice that the potential that this game had. More and more modders started to make their own debut on the scene. You may be familiar with the name Nicholas Linerider, a prominent member of the Planet Zoo community due to his long-standing mod support. He was the original bearer of the idea that some mods should be left as simple replacements for one gender in order to maximize species numbers in the game and be sure that you could have as many animals in your zoo as you could. Simply put, kind of doubling the numbers in the game. Going forward, we experienced even bigger of a boom of modding. We had J2 Bex, who I work with now. We had Eben, who I think actually did just release his exhibit box mod, and we also had Julio back in the day as well, and more went on to support the modding community for a little while. The initial hype behind the modding community started to fade out at this point. It really wasn't as spectacular as it was originally. A lot of people started to make note that you had to update the mods after every single update that comes out, and some people might find that a little, scary and, a little off-putting, but it's so important to note that some people stuck with the community, and those ones being Jesse and Nick. And they essentially went on to keep breathing life into the modding community for pretty much the remainder of the replacement phase. But, as the modding scene started to kind of fade out, it did become pretty taboo amongst, the greater communities. I'm not going to be pointing out names because, we've since come to terms with a lot of people about it, but even talking about it or mentioning it on other servers could get you banned, it could get you kicked, it could get you warned. It just wasn't a good time for modders at all. But it wasn't until Beyond Drew TV and Estan Wolf came along, and they kind of deemed themselves as a frontier bad boys at this point, because they were the only ones who started to play around with mods for videos and live streams. And as someone who was getting into the modding scene at this time, it was really awesome to see them working with that. But we started to see a shift around this point, and we started to see a lot more people become familiar with modding, seeing a lot more people become a lot more comfortable with modding. And that's just such a huge dynamic shift for a lot of people, especially myself, who was starting to mod at this point, as well as Nick, as well as Jesse, who essentially created these tools along with Hendrix and Inaki. But this would eventually spell, you know, a more shift within the community about someone being more open to modding. And this was directly before one of the biggest shifts in the modding community completely. Now, the Thylacine, originally designed by Aurora Designs for Zoo Tycoon 2's Radical Remake, was ported over by Jesse, who you may know as Harlequin's Ego. You're gonna hear me switch between his names in this whole video, so just try and stick with me on it. But yeah, it was the first ever mod that featured standalone support. I mean, for a good 2 years, we essentially had to deal with simple replacement mods, but entering a brand new age has led us to something incredibly amazing. The whole community across all Planet Zoo platforms, across all Planet Zoo channels, started to feel more of a dynamic shift. Mods started to be pumped out like crazy. It is insane how many we got. In 42 days, there have been well around 48 mods that have released as of like today. What's today? The 15th I'm recording this? Yeah. All from amazing creators. We've gotten mods from NDP, Lion Rider, Mega Gaming Rex, Level Wolf, Sib, Tosca, Giorno Pizza, Mayor G, so many more. There are way too many to mention right now, but the community has been going crazy, and it's amazing to see that. I mean, there have even been some kind souls who have ported some of the other OG mods, like J2 Bexes, as well as Pure Winters, and it's just crazy to see, like, these old mods being brought into new light, and I'm still working on, like, a bunch of them. I have a bighorn sheep that I still need to port over. And yeah, that's basically led us to where we are now. We're, like, in the middle of a modding revolution, and having just unlocked custom scenery and more, we're seeing a huge dynamic shift within the community, and content creators are more open talking about mods, and they're no longer treating it like a taboo subject. I mean, that's how I guess you guys ended up here today watching this video, and let me just say once more, welcome! I'm personally a veteran from back in the Zoo Tycoon days where, you know, modding was king. The sites were built on modding. The sites that you went to depended on which mods were there. And it's so refreshing to see such a large and growing community of modders make its way into another zoo game, and that's what I'm so happy to see about. And I really hope I can help you guys, guide you through this process, because I know a lot of you guys want to get involved with mods, but there's so many ways that you can do that. And let's just jump into it right now. Now, personally, I don't have any tutorials on my hands. I just recorded one for installing mods, and I'm going to have a few for like navigating scripts within FDBs and stuff like that, but for now, I hope this video serves as, like, you know, a waypoint for you guys to bounce off of and, you know, find your little niche. So as the mod community grows, you're more than likely to team up with someone who might know something that you don't, and that's absolutely amazing. For instance, like, I find myself much more apt at coding than modeling or skinning. I'm not sure if you guys saw some of my like first attempts at skinning. Go take a look at my old snapping turtle mod. It's disgusting. It is ugly. But I can code well, and I enjoy coding, so that's a good. It's always important to see and try making a mod and seeing what you're good at. Try making your own replacement mod first. You know, it's not the sexiest thing in the world, but it will certainly help you develop your tools and your skill sets in order to make mods further down the line. It's where a lot of us started. It's where I started. It's where Nick started. It's where everyone else started. And it's so important to, you know, have that under your belt, because a lot of people just want to jump into creating their own standalone animals, but I really do hark on the subject that you should definitely start off with some replacements first, and you can port those replacements over to be their own standalones too. So, I will warn you, however, it's not an easy process. Sometimes you get lucky and you do everything right on the first try. I mean, the other day I was porting over one of Nick's old, like, pig mods, and I did it all within probably 30 minutes, and it all worked in game. So that was like one of the best moments I've had in my entire life, honestly. Better than going to Disney or anything. But there are some times where you may get stuck on a mod for a day. There's sometimes where you get stuck on a mod for a week. There are some times where you're stuck on a mod for a month. I cannot tell you guys how much I hate my flamingo mod right now because I've been stuck on it for a month and I cannot get it in game for the life of me. But hey, if you kind of like that stuff, then coding's the perfect place for you. Coding is awesome because you get to figure out like, oh, this doesn't work. This is a crash, and this crash relates to X, Y, and Z. For instance, the infinite cobra screen of death. That's what I've kind of branded now. That usually relates to FDBs or asset packages. If your animal crashes, like when you're entering a map, that's probably your main getting screwed up. I'm not sure about that because I just made that up, but I forget. There's a lot of resources you can use for those, however, so, you know, if you do like the problem-solving aspect of it, coding is definitely right for you, and I cannot, like, express how much fun I have with it, so that's really important to have. There's also opportunities for translators as well. If you're bilingual, trilingual, or even more, not only am I incredibly jealous of you, but you can also get involved by helping us translate mods as well. So we oftentimes put our, you know, zipped lock files on the Modding Zoo community Discord channel, translation channel, I don't know. I'm just throwing different words out right there right now because my brain doesn't work this early in the morning, and yet I only record early in the morning. But yeah, so you may already notice if you play on different languages, some animals may only have English text, or they might not even have any names at all. And this is because we don't really have the, you know, I'm not able to translate into 20 different languages, but you guys are able to contribute and help us out in order to get so many people, you know, the full-fledged animal that they need in-game. And I'll tell you what, I'll be talking more about the modding community server in a little bit, but if you do translate, you will be sure to get a danke, gracias, or shukran for me. However, if you have more of a creative side, and this is totally not me at all, because, you know, my animals look like poopy, go install Blender and GIMP right now. They're for free. They are absolutely amazing tools. I will say I'm not the best skinner, I'm not the best modeler, but I do have a lot of fun with it. And I know a lot of people do amazing work with it. For instance, I've seen Mega Gaming Rex and Jen both produce some of the most amazing looking mods I've seen in a while. And they've certainly found their niche. They know exactly what they're doing. And they've actually teamed up with, like, some coders in order to get their animals in the game, which is amazing. If you're good at modeling, I can guarantee you, a coder will be definitely there to pick you up. It's kind of like a symbiotic relationship. Like, we're the anemone, you guys are the clownfish. But, yeah, you can just practice with it. If you've never tried it before, you can go full-on fantasy, make, like, a Kirin, or a unicorn, or dragon. That's probably not your best bet, but... Or you could go, like, full-on realism and make the most realistic hyena you can possibly make. And, you know, that's my favorite part about the modding community. There's so many different places you're bound to, like, find yourself. There's so many different niches you can adapt yourself to. And you're bound to meet so many people who are, like, amazing at what they do, and that's so good to have in this community. And you get to work with so many amazing people. For instance, I've worked with J2Vex, I've worked with Nick, I've worked with Jen, I've worked with pretty much everyone, Mega Gaming Rex too. You guys are all amazing people, you guys all make some amazing stuff, and I'm so happy to be, like, you know, you're a little... I can't use that word because I'm finally monetized, but I'm your little beach. Yeah, that's the right word. So, I'd first start off, if you're interested, by joining the Zoo Sim modding community Discord. I know it's a bit of a mouthful, but, you know, it's fun. It's, like, the best place to get access to resources to help you get started with modding. It's a really helpful community, I will stress that out. Me, Nick, NDP, Pretty much everyone there is always there, always open to helping you out. Just as long as you, like, you know, read up on what you're told to read up on, you'll be making mods in no time with our help, or even without our help. For instance, I saw Bongo Hardwood just released his Rowan Antelope, and it looks amazing. And, you know, you may get tripped up on one or two things eventually, but, you know, eventually you'll get that mod released, and yeah, it'll be amazing. But yeah, just join the modding community Discord. We're always like in the live voice call, so if you ever have questions, you can join us. Or if you're not really a fan of that, you can always just drop it in like the modding help section, or consult the new modding resources like FAQ. And yeah, there's just there's like amazing avenues for you to get started out there. And let's not even mention the tutorials right now. Actually, I am going to mention them because that's up next in the script. There's all tutorials by Level Wolf, I Am the Lion Rider, and Harlequin's Ego for putting your own species in the game. And do check these out if you're interested in making your own mods, because it's so important that you have these under your belt. However, there are some rules that I do want to bring up before we end the video. I know it's kind of like a long-winded video right now, but trust me, I'm getting somewhere with this. I really do hope I help you guys find your route, but this hasn't been too big of a problem. But recently a little incident occurred that, you know, kind of revealed that we aren't invincible. It's never okay to steal mods, be it like the code, the textures, the models, whatever, without prior permission first. I mean, for instance, if you see my large white pig, you know, I put a decent amount of like time and effort into that. If you guys are interested in using that, please reach out to me first, and I will say yes. Believe me, I will always say yes, because you guys are putting more animals in the game, and that means more animals for me to build habitats for, and that's amazing to have. But please reach out first before you do anything, because recently we've had like a few incidents occur where people didn't reach out, and, you know, Angry Leaf had to come out, and, you know, Angry Leaf doesn't happen. Angry Leaf doesn't exist, except for those small circumstances, but, you know, that's beside the point. Usually, from my own experience, pretty much everyone is open to sharing their models, sharing their textures, sharing... I'm not sure about code, but that might be like some other territory, but just reach out first. Please always reach out before you do this. This is like the #1 modding rule that I see so far, at least. There's also rules in the Discord server, but please check those out as well if you join. Obviously, you need to in order to, you know, like, be part of the server. But, you know, going forward, always be sure to double check with creators and make sure that you can use their content. But, like I said, we haven't had too many problems like that in our community, so let's not dwell on that, you know? I can't really think of anything else that needs to be said about modding, though. I mean, it's a perfect time to get involved, so why wait, you know? I have all the Discord links, YouTube channels for everyone I linked, Nexus pages for getting involved. I have the modding wiki down below as well, if I remember to put that in. If I don't, I feel like Crystal Manta will yell at me. By the way, they're doing such a good job. That's something I didn't even mention in this video. The modding wiki is such an amazing tool to have, because it shows you like where everything is, what goes with what ant mods like require DLC. It's an amazing resource to check out if you do have the time. But yeah, I can't express how awesome it is to have all you guys here, have this whole boom in the community. And, you know, if you're listening out there and you like made it through this whole schmuck of a video, I really do want you to get involved. There's really no better time to do so. So, you know, why wait? I'll see you there.